The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. Let's talk about it. 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 On the Vera Thomas Show. Let's talk about it. Yeah.
Hello, hello, hello. Like always, I am excited. I'm very excited about my guest today. I have with me today Miss Claudia Rocafort. How are you? How are you? How are you?
I am great and so happy to be here with you tonight. Thank you,
Well, I
dear.
am so happy that you're here with me. And what I'm going to do before we do anything else, I'm going to share with our audience some things about Claudia Rocafort. Claudia Rocafort, she is an actress and communications professional with over 30 years of experience on stage and in front of the camera. In 2006, she became a communications consultant in New York City and began teaching leadership programs, public speaking, presentation skills, team coaching, and conscious communications. Claudia is a keynote speaker who trains speakers worldwide to create powerful content and deliver impactful presentations as they can generate their greatest effect. Claudia is also an ICF certified life coach and business coach who has over 17 years of coaching experience. She uses an array of techniques to empower clients to build on their unique talents and to develop new strengths. She works with clients to create a powerful journey of conscious development combined with practical strategies to clear whatever is in the way so they can achieve their desired results in life. That's a lot. That's a lot. But I know that you're fully equipped to do all of those things. I would like for you to take a few minutes and share with our audience more about your journey and how you've gotten to where you are right now. And if there were any challenges that kind of impacted on your life and what you're doing.
Absolutely, Vera. So hold on because we're going for a ride.
Okay.
A long ride, an interesting ride to say the least. I think I've had a lot of changes in life and a lot of different paths. And nowadays, I think of myself as a Renaissance woman. Um, uh, I had so many passions and different interests and studies along the way, but it hasn't necessarily always been an easy ride. So I'm going to take you from the beginning, I guess. I wanted to be a pediatrician obstetrician. And before that, I wanted to be a dancer. But I grew too tall, and my family really wanted me to have an education. They're petrified that if I went off to New York City and tried to become a dancer, my career could be over by the time I was 25 and have nothing to fall back on. So I decided I was going to study medicine, and I was going to be a pediatrician obstetrician. Freshman year, pre-med, and I had a life-altering car accident. I was driving and lost one of my dearest childhood friends. And it put me through a whirlwind of course, depression and questioning everything in my life. Why was I here? Why did I survive? What was the purpose of life? I spent years, a lot of wasted years, I think, wishing I hadn't been here. And I think at that age, we go through, particularly in those late teenage years, you don't want to lose face. You're so still trying to figure out who you are in the world, that, I'd kind of puff up like a, I don't know, like a peacock, right? And try to pretend that my feathers were okay. But the truth is that inside I was hurting, and I was hurting badly. And I didn't know how to share that with family or with the world, or how to how to ask for help through those difficult times. What ended up happening was I fortunately found people along the way, whether it was through a psychiatrist, whether it was through spiritual counselors, and I started this inner search that changed my life. And I started to really try to get my hands on every possible perspective of religion as we know it, the metaphysical aspects, New Age, spirituality. I went as far as to study Wicca and to learn about astrology and New Age and the Tarot and the I Ching and angel cards. I mean, everything that I could get my hands on to find answers. And fortunately, that helped me build a deep, I guess, spiritual basis from which and through which I was able to work out and continue my journey through a lot of different, unfortunately, processes of grief. Um, Alongside, when I came back to university after the car accident, I started to take some classes in psychology, and I really wanted to understand more of what makes human beings tick and why we work the way we work, why we believe what we believe. And in that process, I took an acting class while I was trying to finish biochemistry. And that acting class brought me back to life. And that helped me realize that I needed to be in a creative field. I needed to express myself. I needed to be on that stage. And part of the passion of being on that stage was about becoming somebody else, experiencing all aspects of me through others. And it was an interesting kind of bizarre understanding and process for me. I ended up graduating with a theater degree and an art history degree in the hopes, my mother was concerned that I'd have something else to fall back on if the acting didn't work. And I went to New York and I moved and I became an actress. And I was a full-time actor in New York, not a famous actress, but a working actor. And that was in itself a blessing. And in that process, after about 10 years or 12 years of doing some off-Broadway and doing commercials, which became my bread and butter, I started with that inner question again of meaning. How do I find meaning? I loved being creative. I loved being on the stage. But again, I felt this pull and this desire for something more. And then September 11th happened, and I lost my brother in the towers. And boy, that made me question everything again. I had already lost two half-sisters. And had just recently, a year before, broken up with my fiance, who was the love of my life and the man I thought I would spend the rest of my life with. So I found myself again in an emotional and psychological crisis of, what am I doing? Why am I here? What do I want to do with my life? Um, and facing depression. So fortunately, the psychology studies and all of the work that I had done in myself carried me through that. But boy, it was a roller coaster. I get.
Right. You've been. Can you mute yourself while I'm talking? Because
Back. Perfect. See, how do I do that?
okay. All right. Having gone through all the things that you've gone through, you had to go through those to get to where you are right now, and to be able to impart upon others how they can go through the same. To have lost, so, and I know all about grieving. I mean, I've lost my mother, both my sisters, a niece, and all within a pretty close time frame. My mother, well, she was 44, and then both my sisters within 3 years, and then my niece a year later. And so I understand that process, but sometimes people go through that grieving process and they don't understand that it is a process. And then for you to have lost your best friend, your two sisters, you said your sisters, and and then your brother. So we want to talk and then going through that depression. We want to talk about how, what was it? And you talked about the going through this spirit on this spiritual journey where you were trying to identify and figure out, okay, which way do I go? Which religion do I choose? How do I find myself? So tell us more about, and see, because we're getting this feedback, we can't really have this dialogue the way I would like to have it, because I don't want that feedback there. But just kind of share with us um, the impact that had on you to make you understand that there was something greater for you. And also, I would like for you also to put, how can people get in touch with you? That was one of the things we were supposed to do. So if you could put that in the private chat at some point, I would appreciate, when we do the commercials, I would appreciate it. So I'm going to mute myself and let you share the things that I just mentioned.
Okay, perfect. So now that I know how to mute and feedback, we can have more of a conversation, and be able to share more without the feedback for the audience. So I think that fortunately, like I said, there were people who came into my life who changed my life and who gave me gifts that changed my life, that gave me faith, that gave me direction. One of those books was called The Kabbalion. And this came to me through a friend, through actually my boyfriend's roommate at the time. And it's a book about the 7 principles that govern the universe. And it was written about 5,500 years ago by Hermes Trismegistus, called the Master of Masters. And it's the book from which the law of attraction comes from, where the law of polarity and duality and consequence come from. So in this New Age period in the 90s, there was a resurgence, of course, of all of these materials that started to become popular. And again, the New Age, right? And books like The Power of Now and Eckhart Tolle and Donald Neil Walsh, Friendship with God, and Deepak Chopra, who's been someone that I've followed and loved dearly since he started speaking in New York, and Marianne Williamson. These people, I started to train and read everything that they were producing and doing the Course in Miracles, and everything that I could find along the way. Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life, was a pivotal book in my life at that time, early 90s. Just graduated from college and trying to find my way in New York. And, the first couple of years of acting were not easy. So that was
I'm sure it was not easy. Anything worth having, it takes challenges, and especially in the creative fields. When you are trying to do and work through your gifts of creativity, that's why they're called starving artists because they're trying to
Exactly.
find we it but the beauty of it is when you are living in your passion and you're working in your passion and you're doing what you know you were born to do. The money may not come immediately, but it's like a quote that I heard from James Mishner, and that quote is: "The master in the art of living draws no distinction between his work and his play, his labor and his leisure, his mind and his body, his education and his recreation, his love or his religion. He hardly knows which is which. He simply pursues his vision of excellence." Through whatever it is he's doing, and leaves it to others to determine whether he's working or playing. To himself, he's always doing both. And the only way that people can feel that way is when you're living and walking in your purpose and when you're living and walking in your creativity. And I would venture to say that most actors and musicians and creative people, that particular quote holds so true for them, or anyone that's living in their truth and their love and their passion. All right, I'm going to bring it back to you because we can't do this dialogue. But anyway, I'm going to bring it back to you.
But I love what you shared because it's that living in your purpose, right? And that I think was that calling that I was feeling, that I loved the acting and I felt that that was part of my purpose. But I don't know that it was the complete part. And listen, there's so many actors that I admire, and I wish I had the talent and the commitment, for example, um, to have been a great actress. I still hone my craft, I still work on it, but my pursuit is slightly changed because I wanted to be able to feel that I was making a difference in the world beyond beyond the acting. And I wish I was a Meryl Streep, but I'm not. So I'm good. But there's something to be said about people who are great, who are really, really great. And that pursuit within yourself is another part of what I do now and that I love. There's a philosophy called Ikigai, and it's a Japanese philosophy of finding your purpose. And I've been using this as a coach for many, many years. And we skipped a part of the story. So I'm going to share that part of the story quickly now. After September 11th, I was I got very sick again. I think it was nervous and the pain and the grief and so on and so forth. And I got strep throat, which led to scarlet fever, which led to guttate psoriasis, which meant that I was covered head to toe in bright red spots of psoriasis, and I looked like the exorcist. And talk about not really being able to act or model very much at that time. And I needed to take a break. I ended up going down to South America with my mother and taking a month and going into a retreat center, holistic retreat center, where again, these things changed my life. I started to learn about nutrition. I was teaching yoga every single day, practicing yoga every single day, meditating every single day. Part of my healing my body was learning to fast, understanding what foods did to my being and why, how colonics help, how fasting helps, intermittent or full time. I did a 28-day fast and my body healed. And it was unbelievable. It was just, I was literally looked like the exorcist. It was not fun. And by allowing my body that time to not have to worry about drawing food and nutrition and digesting and all of that, it was able to put all of its energy into healing my organs and healing my skin.
Question. So how was it? What type of fast was it? Was it all liquids? All so you tell me what type of fast was it? And it cleared out your it cleansed you. That's what fasting does. It cleanses you out. It takes all the toxins out of your body. So let me go on mute.
We're doing this beautiful tango, you and I. So great. Um, it was a purely liquid diet. I was allowed fruit juices without any pulp and watered down throughout the day, and a vegetable soup. Again, no dairy, no nothing. It was just vegetables, mostly green vegetables, and watered down, no fiber, so that there would be no traces. It was just pure liquid vitamins, minerals without any of the fibers, so that it would cleanse all my intestines and organs. So 28 days of this was very intense. The amazing thing that happened, though, is after about the third or fourth day, when you go into ketosis, the first few days you're tired and cranky and moody and all those things, understandably. After that, if you can work on the mindset through the meditation, the yoga, and be able to find a place where you are supported. I do not recommend doing this at home alone. Do not try this at home alone. You really do need to have somebody who knows what they're doing to support you through this process. But what does happen is you start to get a surge of energy. And it's an amazing surge of energy because your body is releasing the toxins. Now, one of the reasons why I also needed to do that is I had been taking antidepressants for a couple of years when my fiance and I broke up and September 11th happened and all of this. And those antidepressants may have been part of the trigger to this cutate psoriasis. So it was the right time for me to be able to heal inside and out.
Wow. That's when we think about our bodies healing itself and you being able to recognize that by that doing that cleansing of liquids, solid, I mean, no solids at all. And I can imagine it did give you spiritually, it put you on a level, another level altogether. And so being able to recognize how important that was for you is amazing. And I know you've done so many things and you've been able to help people in their journey by focusing in on that inner self. And I'm really interested in these different religious things that you went through and you talked about. And also you said Mary Williams. Is that who you said? Isn't she the one that ran for president? Is that the one? She needs to stick with helping people in this vein, right? I'm
Well,
gonna.
in the 90s, she was teaching the Course in Miracles. And it was beautiful because she would often be a speaker and do workshops that were live. And I would be, right there, front row and center. Same thing with Deepak Chopra. They were amazing teachers who were transforming change and creating change in others. And it was something that I really, truly admired because it was the biggest blessing in my life. And it was the inspiration for me then to, I think I was looking for a path to be of service. I didn't end up studying medicine. I didn't end up becoming a healer that way, but it was always, I think, a soul calling within me. And what ended up happening is that when I went back to New York, after I was able to heal my body, and doubted for a while whether to come back into the industry and into the entertainment industry, there was this calling. And a friend of mine once called me up and said, Claudia, I'd like to introduce you to a man who's older than you, but he would love to remarry. He's lost his only son and he's grieving, but he would love to try again. And I was not married at the time. I was in my 30s and thinking, you know what? I'd love to meet him. Why not? Let's see. We literally spent about 6 hours together. We ended up having practically lunch and dinner in the same restaurant in our first conversation. And he said to me, Claudia, I think you're an innate teacher, and I would love to show you what I do. Would you allow me to do a session with you? And if you like it, I'd love to train you. I thought, wow, sure, yes, right? My curious spirit and my always learning and wanting to learn more was like all over it, right? In a heartbeat. So sure enough, he did a session with me, and I was in goosebumps, and it was as if all of a sudden I felt guided. I felt that I had found a way to bring my innate um, trainings and talents and interests, how I could use my being on stage and experience of being behind the camera and feeling comfortable on stage, whether it was 200 people or 2,000 people, and be able to bring that to C-suite executives and prepare them for public speaking or stakeholder meetings or mergers and acquisitions or launching a new program for their company comfortably. But my spiritual work and my psychology work were allowing me to look at how I could be the yin to his yang, all that corporate experience that he had, and bring a holistic approach to all of the people that we were training, mostly on communication and public speaking, but also team building and also empowering them in their lives so that they could be working in their position from their zone of genius.
Wow, that's amazing. And when working with companies, you have to look at it from a holistic perspective because when you consider, first of all, a job is one third of your life. And if it's jacked up, or if there's a lot of in your job, it's going to impact on your home. It's going to impact on how you sleep. It's going to impact on how you eat. It's going to impact on how you relate to yourself and other people. So, in training in corporate America, you really need to look at the total person and the total, I mean, because let's face it, your corporations, your number one resource are your human resources. And if there is some issues with that, it's going to impact on your bottom line. It's going to impact on performance. It's going to impact on your revenue. And so being able to focus on the total person, a holistic approach, yes, that's great that that's what you did and what you do. I need to take a break. We need to do a commercial and we will be right back. Joy 365. It is a 365-day devotional on joy restoration. And she's looking for 365 people to be a part of it. So if you are interested in exploring what that's all about, then please contact Vanessa Blackwell, vrblackwell at gmail.com. Again, that's Vanessa Blackwell, vrblackwell at gmail.com. She's looking for 365 individuals to do this devotional on joy restoration. You need to be a part of it. So contact her. Contact her. All right. I'm going to do one other and then we'll come back to. And while I'm doing that, if you could put your information in the private chat, I would appreciate it. All right. Let me pull up this other one here. Let's see. Okay, here we go.
Mama Knows creates high quality products that are available to be used on multiple textures of hair. Her goal is to bridge the gap to stop people from having to use multiple products because of families with multiple hair types. Her products are currently being used on men, women, children of all ethnicities. Mama Knows products are available at www.mamaknowsproducts.com. That's www.mamaknowsproducts.com. You can also find her on Instagram at Mama Knows Products because, you know, Mama knows what you need.
Mama knows what you need. These are products that are for all ethnicities and for males, females, and children. It is amazing. I've used those products and I'm telling you, they smell so great. You want to try Mama Knows products and you can check it out at mamaknowsproducts.com. mamaknowsproducts.com. All right. All right. Now, let me shut that down and pull up your information. So if you are interested in more information, you can go to www.claudiarocafortcoaching.com. It's okay, the C is missing, I think, isn't it? All right.
You got that right.
Okay. Let's put that coaching right there and save it. And there we go. All right. Now, I want you to share with us. Now, we've talked about a lot of stuff. And one of the things that you and I had also talked about. Now, tell us about what happened with the guy that taught you all this stuff. So I want to hear more about that. What happened with that?
So let me share that journey for a little bit. He brought me into his business and made me his business partner, and it was a godsend. It was the greatest gift, and I realized how to begin to shift and use the combination of my acting and my communication skills and my public speaking skills and the spirituality and my self-help, self-growth tools and techniques and things that I had learned to heal myself could somehow now begin to be in service to others. And it opened up possibilities and opportunities for me that I had never imagined. Unfortunately, the recession then hit. I was pregnant. I moved to Miami so that my son could grow up with mom and dad and having both sides of the family, because my parents were divorced when I was very young. And I suffered that as a kid, terribly, being so far away. I mean, thank God my mother remarried and I got two brothers and I got a baby sister and all these things. But I always missed that. And I did not want to create the same voids for my son. So having made that choice, I moved to Florida and I'm going back and forth, New York, Miami, every month with baby, with nanny so that I could work, with all of these things. And then the recession hit and it started to get, financially really tough. And unfortunately, the companies that were working with us stopped, it was a high ticket kind of investment for companies that they stopped doing during the recession. And I didn't know quite how to trust that I had sufficient knowledge to be able to do this and offer this on my own. So I started doing other things. I got into real estate. I was working in publicity for a little bit. I kept doing my acting, but finally I went and I got certified as a life coach. And I put in the 500 hours of not only training myself, but then also facilitating and training other coaches. And it helped me realize that not only what we had been doing, which was talking about conscious communication in 2006 in New York City, before conscious communication was even a term, but also made me realize how much I really loved that process of coaching. And in that process, how to bring about all of the things that I did so that I could be working from my zone of genius, but helping others and helping my clients find theirs. And that became part of my mission. So part of my mission became this process. There's a great book called The Big Leap, and he talks about finding your zone of genius. So between Ikigai and other tools and techniques that I use, this is one of the things that I'm on a mission to do, is help education, help children, help universities, high schools, even corporate America. Just imagine if we could teach people from an early age and leaders how to lead from their zone of genius, from their unique talents, from their innate gifts.
Yes.
Right? And help have the knowledge so that they know how to help their teams achieve that too. Can you imagine how we could maximize effectiveness in corporate America? How we would be really preparing our youth to find where they fit in the world and where they can serve best. This is my passion. And I think that it has to happen not just through that knowledge of zone of genius and understanding innate abilities and purpose, but also through communication.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, because what you're talking about is also my passion. As a matter of fact, I had started a PhD program, and the purpose, I didn't finish because I ran out of money, but my purpose was to help people recognize from a young age all the way into the workplace that when people start working and living and working in their passion and in what you call their zone of genius, oh my God, can you imagine? Can you imagine? And first of all, our children would be happier. The family dynamics would be totally different. The workspace would be, just amazing. And all this visceral stuff that we're experiencing would dissipate. It would dissipate. And so you and I are really on the same page. I wish we could talk without the interruption. But just to know that, to do that, you and I are on the same page where it comes to that, because I know that if you can discover your passion, if you can discover your purpose, you discover your life. You hear me? And that's in the workplace and or in your home and let me calm down. in society as a whole. Come on now. Now, one of the things, and I'm going to pull up, you have 2 books, and I'm going to pull up these books. I'm going to go back on mute, and I'm going to let you talk about each of these books. I'm going to pull them up separate so that you can talk about each one. But was there something else you wanted to say about what we were talking about before I do that? Okay, I'll shut up.
Definitely. Because I just love your passion and your enthusiasm, Vera. This is how we met and had a conversation about this. And you said, you've got to come on the show. We've got to talk about this more. And it's a beautiful thing because, yes, it sounds highly idealistic and very simplistic, but it is. That's the beauty of it. It can be that simple, right? So yes, not everybody can go and pursue their dream career or are necessarily going to be the best at it. But that does mean that you can find that if you're a people person, then maybe you need to be the person who's interviewing or the person in HR, right? And if you're not, but you're an introvert, goodness, that's not the place for you. But maybe you're passionate about numbers, then you need to be in the finance field. Not everybody's pursuing, one, what they're good at, and two, what they love.
Let me say this. I worked with a guy. I mean, when you mentioned numbers, it was like twinkling in his eyes, you know. And when I did that quote with James Mishner right now, even though he's not in a creative in space, how he felt about numbers and accounting was amazing to me because I'm thinking, oh my God. Ugh. But when you are in your zone of excellence and your zone of genius, it doesn't matter what it is. You could be the janitor. But if that's your zone of genius and you're loving what you're doing, then what's wrong with that? Okay. All right. I'm bringing you back.
And that's my passion. That's precisely what I do with entrepreneurs, with people pivoting, with people on a mission, with executives. And it's making sure that they're aligning with those innate talents, with those passions, with the things that will help them feel that work and play are one. Yes, anything that you do constantly and regularly can become not necessarily monotonous, but can become a job, right? I can coach for hours and not get tired. I can talk
Exactly.
for hours and not get
Exactly. And you know, I really believe within my heart that's why schools are failing because let's face it, there are a lot of teachers that are excellent teachers, but there are a lot of teachers that don't need to be teachers. But those that are excellent teachers, you know, they feel confined and they feel strangled because they can't really teach the way that it's going to really help a child come to the point of their zone of genius. I believe, and that was a part of this PhD program. I believe that if you can teach kids from their points of genius, their learning styles, their what they gravitate towards, and this is also the stuff that I encourage parents to do as well. You know, look at what does your child gravitate towards? Because 9 times out of 10, whatever it is they gravitate towards as a child, it's a part of their passion for life. All right. All right. I'm going to pull up your book so you have something else you want to say first before.
I love that. I'm right there with you about kids. I think that is huge because those instincts, those passions, and we're not talking, the 2-year-old who or 3-year-old who wants to be a ballerina, but the 12-year-old who still wants to be a ballerina, there's got to be something there, right? And who's been dancing since she was 3.
Yes, exactly. So even the 3-year-old that says she wants to be a ballerina, if that's what you see her doing, if that's what if she's dancing all the time, then you need to put her in ballet school. You need to put her in ballet
lessons, and she might become the next phenomenal music engineer in the planet. Who knows, or composer. So again, there's so many paths that we sometimes do not allow ourselves to explore or didn't explore for our children out of fear, out of wanting them to have some kind of security. And it's now that you bring up the book, I love it because I'll transition into this. I always wanted to write a book, and there's a few stories, some of which I've started to share, but there's a lot of, there's only so much we can go in an hour and half an hour. But there's a lot of depth in the processes that I went through. And I haven't quite gotten there yet. But this friend of mine, Susie Pruden, who's awesome and who has the Itty Bitty Publishing, suggested, she said, Claudia, why don't you write a chapter in this anthology? And the anthology became a #1 best book, which was fantastic and it was exciting. And it's a small chapter precisely on conscious communication. I thought, what could I bring that people need the most? What are the basic skills that people can use and help them think about what can I use to public speak better? How can I present myself better? What is conscious communication? So it's a very little chapter with the nitty gritty basics. And it's something that I highly, highly recommend you take a look at. Aside from the fact that there's 14 other phenomenal experts from WPN, which is the Women's Prosperity Network, and a phenomenal network for networking and where women, it was created by three beautiful sisters whom I love and I've been friends with now for nearly 10 years. And where I've done business training, where I speak, where I share, where I've grown tremendously, also to really find my place and my voice so that I could bring my services to the world. There's 14 other experts in this book, definitely worth getting. A few, like $5 on Amazon or $7 on Amazon.
You need to check out this book. You need to, and you also might want to consider looking at womensprosperitynetwork.com because there's a wealth of knowledge, information, training, networking opportunities in this organization. It says Women Prosperity Network, that's for a reason. The reason it's called Women's Prosperity Network is because this particular network gives you the tools to become prosperous. I have become a member and I'm excited about that. But it's tools to help you become prosperous. So go to womensprosperitynetwork.com. I don't have my referral link in here, but if you put in there who referred you, put the Vera Thomas Show. Yes, do that. All right. Or you can also say Claudia Rocafort because she has a link with it as well. Now, one of the things I'm going to also pull up this second book so that you can talk about it. And then I do want to do a little bit of promoting of what I do. But first, let me pull up this book. Okay. I'm going to shut down my mic so that you can talk about this book.
Thank you, Vera. So if you go to ClaudiaRocafortCoaching.com and you scroll all the way to the bottom, this is a free guide that I share with people. So please take it as a gift, use it. It is an expanded version of the WPN book. It is, I think, a 10-page guide on everything that you need to create a magnetic presentation, to speak publicly, effectively, and really hone in on the importance of what you say, how you say it, and why you say it. And this guide will give you some of the basic tools that you can start applying now for your messaging to attract your ideal clients and to be able to get your message out into the world. So go ahead.
This is a great opportunity, people. This is free training right here. Public Speaking Powerhouse Guide. How do I become a public speaker that is compelling, and people want to listen to? You want to check out this book. All right. I do have another commercial, and then I will be right back. Okay. Hide this. Let me. Okay. Listen, bit.ly Vera Thomas, you can contact me and let's talk about how I may be of service to you, either as a coach, as a speaker, or if you're interested in coming on my show, or if you want to schedule a half an hour consultation and let's see what I can do to help you further what it is that you want to do. So please, and also, I really need you to support my show. So if you are interested in supporting me, please go to Cash App, $ Instill Great, or Venmo at VT1117. This for me to bring programs like this for your growth and development and learning and encouragement. You want to help support me. So please go to Cash App, $ Instilling Great, or Venmo at VT1117. And of course, I definitely need you to like, share, and comment and subscribe to my channels. Yes, I need you to do that. Please. All right. All right. I needed to say these things. Okay. Please support me and like, share, comment, and subscribe to the Vera Thomas Show on Facebook and LinkedIn and on YouTube, particularly YouTube. Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to shut down the mic and let you.
That's quite all right, Vera. So there's one more thing that I wanted to share a little bit, and we touched upon it briefly about depression. But because we started to talk about that, I think it's really important to say, it's not something that just because you read a few books or because you start talking to someone spiritually, it's going to go away. There is usually a chemical imbalance associated with depression. And there's a beautiful, easy way to kind of determine where it is that my psychiatrist used to share with me. He used to say, Claudia, it's either low serotonin or low dopamine, or a combination of the two. And the way that you can tell the difference is dopamine gives you that happy feeling, that you get that high naturally when you're doing something you love. For me, it used to be dancing, listening to music, being by the ocean. But there were moments when that was no longer giving me joy or that natural high that we get. That's low dopamine in your system. There's a chemical imbalance with low dopamine. And there are natural ways to be able to supplement that before you even try medication. But just the knowledge that the things that used to bring you joy are not bringing you joy anymore, that is a certain way to tell that you might have a chemical imbalance, and it's time to reach out to a professional and talk about it. The other.
Let me ask you. So you said the things that brought you joy before the depression came as a result, it was triggered by all these things that happened to you. So it caused your dopamine to drop. And then you said that there are ways, the things that you can do to deal with that without medication. Okay, so I want you to talk about that too. Okay, so let me shut up.
It's just a lot of information. So, but I think that this piece is really important for anybody listening who's ever been there, knows someone who's going through it, and God forbid you never go through it, because it's tough and it's challenging. So I want to be able to support any listeners or viewers about this. The serotonin imbalance is that feeling of feeling depressed, that moodiness, crankiness, nothing feels quite right. It can manifest, low serotonin can also manifest in obsessive compulsive disorders, and it can manifest in a few kind of the deep moodiness. So if that's the way it's manifesting for you, or you're seeing someone that you love with some of these symptoms, do a little research. You can find ways. There are a couple of, nutritionally, there are a couple of things that help create and support better dopamine production or better serotonin production in your body. They're mostly supplements. Things like 5-HTP is, I believe, a serotonin precursor and will allow more serotonin in your body. If that's not sufficient, then you're looking at serotonin reuptake inhibitors and medication. But whenever you start to feel any of these symptoms that last for more than 2 weeks, and it starts affecting your sleep. It starts affecting the way that you're eating. Either you eat extra, or you're not eating at all, or you put on a lot of weight, or you lose a lot of weight. These are real telling signs, right, that your body needs a little extra support. Things like antioxidants like green tea tend to increase some dopamine. There's a list of things naturally that you can try. And if those things, you can find them on Google, fortunately. We don't want to necessarily promote Google doctors, but we want to, the self-study doctors from Google. We do want to promote that there are ways to do it naturally, and by all means, speak to a specialist. Look for coaches, look for guidance. I am finally bringing together all of this knowledge and doing holistic retreats. I want to be able to support people. And we all need, no matter where we are in our lives, we all need a couple days to be able to reset, to be able to give ourselves some quiet time and check in gratitude, and learn how to raise our vibrations, learn how to eat healthily, learn how to change our mindset so that we can come back to our lives renewed and refreshed and recharged. And if any of you are interested, please schedule a call with me. I am here to support. This is my love and my passion and my purpose. And I will also be sharing the link to the retreats in case you're interested and this is something that would support you. We can't hear you yet. Oh, keep going. Okay, perfect. So the retreat is actually happening between Cancun and Tulum in Mexico, in the jungles, in the Mayan jungles. It'll be a 4-day, 4-night, all-included retreat with yoga and meditation every day. We're going to be working 1 day on mind, 1 day on body, 1 day on spirit. We're going to be working with some local shamans that I've worked with before, who are beautiful spiritual souls that have guided us through sweat lodge clearings and ancestral clearings. It's really a holistic journey that will allow you to heal mind, body, and spirit. And it can be as intense and deep as you allow yourself and are ready to experience. And it can be as relaxed and relaxing and as much of a vacation as you want it to be. So that being said, my passion is now doing and providing at least a couple times a year this getaway, this adventure, and this journey to really work on ourselves holistically. We hope to be doing one for health, one for wealth, one for love, and one for leadership next year. So, God willing, if it all aligns, then you will be hearing more about those.
I want to come. I want to be a part of that. Oh my God. I'm speaking that into existence. You hear me? I'm speaking that into existence. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Okay. Well, listen, it has been such a pleasure having you here. And you are a wealth of information. You are an inspiration. You do uplift, encourage, and motivate, and you educate. You came here giving us everything I asked for in a guest, and I appreciate it. I really do. And I am going to allow you, because we do have a minute or so, I'm going to give you the floor one more time to share whatever you want to share. And you will not hear from me again, listening audience. I just want to say thank you for listening. I really appreciate you listening, your support, and your encouragement. And I will see you on Tuesday. In the meantime, have a great weekend and happy birthday to my niece, Darlene Cole. All right, so I'm giving Claudia the floor, and we'll see you next week. All right.
Thank you so much, Vera. Being able to be here with you today is a gift and a privilege. The work that you do, your show is inspired me, and it's one of the reasons I wanted to be able to be here with you today. I love the work that you do with children. They are our future. So any way that we can support them and support education and support the way that we shift mindset, right? Think about it this way. It starts with the way that we speak to kids when they're little, because that will be the radio that they replay in their minds growing up. And if we teach them self-worth, and if we give them a voice, and if we give them the ability and empower them with the tools to know that they belong, that they have worth, and that they have value, then they will be of service to all of humanity for the rest of their lives. This is the key. And it is a pleasure to be here with you tonight. I hope that this has served you. And please feel free to reach out to me. You can reach me at 786-876-8004. I'm an old girl, old school telephone and messaging. So feel free to reach out. Thank you, Vera. It's been beautiful, beautiful sharing this with you.
The Vera Tommy Show. The Vera Tommy Show. The Vera Tommy Show. The Vera Tommy Show. Let's talk about it. 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 On the Vera Tommy Show. Let's talk